Alrighty, welcome back to another math lesson. Today we're going over Algebra 1 state test questions for standard A.REI.1. We're going to hop right in with question 1 from the Ohio Practice OST. A sequence of steps for solving the equation 3 times x minus 2 equals x plus 4 is shown. Move a property to each blank box to show the reason for each step. And they give us essentially a word bank of the addition property of equality, the multiplication property of equality, the distributive property, the associative property, and the commutative property. Okay, let's talk about what each of these properties means. Okay, the addition property of equality, which I'm just going to you know, abbreviate here, is the idea of when you add or subtract something to one side, you must do it to the other. Okay. When you add or subtract something to one side, you must do it to the other. The multiplication property of equality is the same idea, except that's multiply or divide. If you multiply or divide one side, you must do it to the other side. The distributive property, at this point we should all know what the distributive property is. Usually use a parentheses, multiply into parentheses. The associative property is the idea that you can move parentheses around freely. So, for example, parentheses 3 plus 2 plus 1 is the same as 3 plus parentheses 2 plus 1. That's the associative property. And the commutative property is that you can switch the order. I just spelled that wrong. I just spelled it like community. Commutative property is the way that you can swap the order of addition and multiplication. The idea that 2 plus 4 is the same as 4 plus 2. So, looking at our steps, we have 3 times x plus 2 equals x plus 4. That's given. Okay. 3x minus 6 equals x plus 4. So, what changed? We took the 3 times x minus 2. We got rid of the parentheses. And it looks like we multiplied 3 times x to get 3x, and 3 times negative 2, to get negative 6. As you know, with parentheses and multiplication, we're looking immediately at distribution. Okay? That is the distributive property. We go to the next step. We went from 3x minus 6 equals x plus 4 to 2x minus 6 equals 4. What happened here? Well, we appear from the left side to have subtracted 1x, and from the right side, we appear to have also subtracted 1x. So because we got rid of the same thing from both sides, this would be the addition property of equality. Let's keep going. 2x minus 6 equals 4 to 2x equals 10. What did we do? It looks like we added 6 to the left side to get rid of the negative 6. And we added 6 to the right side because 4 plus 6 equals 10. So this is once again the addition property of equality. And finally, we go from 2x equals 10 to x equals 5. The 2 went away, and it looks like the 10 was divided by 2. So this would be the multiplication property of equality. Okay, anytime you use a standard anytime you use a standard equation solving technique, most of the times it'll either be addition property of equality or multiplication property of equality. So stick with that. All right. Question 2. This item has 3 parts. Okay. When we talk a lot about where are you going to get your 15 or where are you going to get your 24, you can get 3 of those here. Okay. That's 20% of the test of the grade you need to graduate. So let's work on this. This item has 3 parts. Eleanor incorrectly solves the problem 1/2 times x plus 18 minus 4 times 2x minus 6. Equals 4 times 2x minus 6 equals minus 9x. Oh boy, I just had a moment reading that problem. Part A, select the first equation which Eleanor makes an error. So, here's where they want to trick you. Okay? Because your mind is going to go immediately to the distributive property, right? Because the parentheses went away on both of these, right? So it looks like you distributed. Actually, the parentheses didn't even go away on this one. But this isn't what they did. What they did from given to step one was the multiplication property of equality. How do I know? Because the half went away, but the 4 didn't. What do you multiply by to go from 4 to 8? 2. What happens when you multiply 1/2 by 2? You get 1. In which case, there's nothing to distribute anymore. Okay? So now we figured out that they multiplied each side by 2. Is this statement correct? And the answer is no, because if they had multiplied the whole thing by 2, this negative 9x would have also been multiplied by 2. And you'll note that it notably was not. So step 1 is where they made the error. Create an equation to correct Eleanor's error identified in part A. Now, you don't have to use the multiplication property of equality for part B. If you prefer to do the distribution, you can absolutely do that instead. Let's distribute. Okay? 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. If you're going this route, be very careful with how you put this in. You want to make sure this goes in as 1/2 x, not 1/2x. Okay, there's a difference between 1/2 x and 1/2x. This is incorrect. Okay? 1/2 times 18 is 9. Equals, and we distribute our second side. 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And then minus 9x. Could you combine like terms here? Yes, you don't have to. This is an equation that technically gets you past step 1. Okay? Now, what is the correct solution? Okay, so this is going to be the first time we're going to really talk about systems of equations if you're watching this in chronological order. System of equations can be one of the most confusing things to do on paper, but with Desmos, Desmos makes it a cinch if you know what you're doing. Okay, so let's go to Desmos. Okay, so our first equation that we had, I need to grab my keyboard here. Our first equation that we had was 1. Ooh. Our first equation that we had was 1/2 times x plus 18. I'm going to put that on one side. Then the other side was 4 times 2x minus 6 minus 9x. I'm going to split this equation at the equal sign. Okay? So you'll note that I split the equation right here. Everything to the left of the equal sign went on the first line of Desmos. Everything on the right side of the equal sign went on the second side of Desmos. Okay? So, now we have to find out where they cross. Okay? The solution for where these two cross is right here, marked by Desmos for you. Okay? The solution is at negative 22. We know to take the first number because the question calls for x equals, so we're going to take the x value, which is negative 22. And that's what you're going to put in for part C. If you do all 3 of these right, you're going to get 3 points, and that's a long way towards getting your 15. Question 3 from the Spring 2022 OST. The steps that a student took to solve the linear equation 4x plus 5 equals 31 minus x minus 4 are shown. The student made an error in one of the steps. In what step does the error first appear? So, let's again look at what they did. Given 4x plus 5 equals 31 minus parentheses x minus 4. Step 1, 4x plus 5 equals 31 minus x minus 4. So what they did was they distributed this negative. And remember when you distribute negatives, all you're realistically doing is changing the sign. So is that what it would look like? 4x plus 5 equals 31. Changing the sign of x, change it from positive x to minus x. And changing the sign of negative 4 takes it from negative 4 to positive 4. Does that match our step 1? No, it doesn't. This is positive 4. This is negative 4. Step 1 is where they made the error. So what should be the solution to the original equation? Alrighty, let's see. We're going to once again split it down the middle. 4x plus 5. And then on the next line, 31 minus parentheses x minus 4. You don't have to solve anything. You don't have to change anything. Just put it in exactly as it is. Look for the x value where they cross. Here it is 6. So our answer will be x equals 6. All right. We go to question 4 from the Spring 2023 OST. Justin wants to calculate the x-intercept, so the graph of the equation y equals 3 times x plus 5 squared minus 4 sevenths. Excuse me, I'm very yawny today. Some of the steps he uses are shown. Which property did Justin use to go from line 3 to line 4? So we're not really talking about line 1. We don't have to concern ourselves with line 1. We don't have to concern ourselves with line 2 either. Realistically, all we're concerning ourselves with is line 3 and line 4. So what happened? Line 3 went from 4 sevenths equals 3 times x plus 5 squared. Line 4, 4 sevenths divided by 3 equals 3 times x plus 5 squared divided by 3. On the left side, we added this divided by 3. On the right side, we added divided by 3. So this is the multiplication property of equality. Based on the rule that we learned earlier. Question 5. This item has 2 parts. Once again, could be worth 2 points out of the 15 you need on the test. Tia makes an error solving the equation 1/3 10x minus 15 equals 5x plus 20. Select the line where her error first appears. Alrighty then. So, 1/3 times 10x minus 15 equals 5x plus 20. Then, it looks like what they did was they multiplied both sides by 3. I can tell that because the 1/3 went away. The way that you get rid of a fraction is you multiply by its reciprocal, or 3 over 1. And I note that this 3 just kind of seemingly came out of nowhere. So it looks like they multiplied both sides by 3 to get rid of the fraction, because if you tried to distribute the 1/3, you would end up with 10 over 3, and that's messy, and nobody likes that. So know that you can also just multiply both sides. Okay. So then you would distribute this 3 to this parentheses. So 3 times 5x would make 15x. 3 times 20 would make 60, not 20. So here is where our error first appears. What is the correct solution? Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this in the Desmos. We do 1/3 times 10x. This is exactly what I'm talking about, being careful typing it in. 1/3 times 10x minus 15. And then on the next one, we're just using from the original equation, 5x plus 20. And we look for the spot where the 2 lines cross, because that's how you solve a system of equations. They cross at negative 15, so your answer would be negative 15. And that'll actually do it. All right. So that'll do it for this lesson. I hope it was helpful to you. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And good luck on your state test. See you next time.